Greetings everyone from Fort Lauderdale. Ryan Alexander here.
And Kurt Bosshardt.
Today we are showing you one of Denison's latest listings. She goes by the name of the Pearl. She's 118 feet long. This is something we've talked about a little bit in the past, but Intermarine got their start building ballistic-proof vessels as a defense contractor for the Navy.
Correct. This builder came from Europe and was given a contract to build minesweepers because the government liked the hull and the thickness and the strength of the hull so much. He built them in Savannah, Georgia, and when that contract ran its course, he switched over to yachts and built about a dozen Intermarine yachts.
Along with this unique origin story, this defense background, there comes a lot of benefit for the buyer or the owner of this boat.
Originally, the minesweeper was built to a very high specification that the Navy put on this builder. You'll notice as you look through this yacht that a lot of the deck equipment, the machinery used in the engine room, various other aspects of this yacht are far higher, more robust than an average yacht. It's really more of a commercial ship feel to her.
She was originally built to ABS. She is still in class to this day.
Most yachts at 118 feet are not in class. To do that every year, there's an annual inspection. There's a 5-year inspection where the yacht has to be hauled, and then there's a really major 10-year inspection. A pre-purchase surveyor wouldn't look as much as an ABS surveyor. So one of the things you have to know about this boat is the very unique cabin layout that we have. We have a standard 5 guest cabin layout with an on-deck master and 4 below. But there are 2 more cabins below that could be utilized as guest cabins because they're finished quite nicely.
Now that we've introduced you to the Pearl, we're going to show you through every space on board, and we're going to do that by getting things kicked off up on the Sundeck. Throughout the course of today's walkthrough, we're going to be talking a lot about changes and refits that this boat has undergone, but we're going to start in the area that has had essentially nothing changed.
Other than the fabrics, some of the pillows and paint, of course, and teak deck, this is how she was originally laid out by the builder.
Up here you'll find an oversized wrapping sun pad taking up about half of the Sundeck's footprint. There's more than enough room for a family or two to gather together, as well as a large umbrella that can be opened up for shade. Just aft and above this lounging area is the radar arch. Mounted up here is everything you need to keep you connected at sea, like twin Furuno radars and a KVH Fleet 77 track phone system. On the forward end of the Sundeck to port is an alfresco dinette featuring a molded-in L-shaped settee wrapping around a tabletop. Opposite, on the starboard side, is a wet bar with a sink and prep space, as well as a refrigerator.
One of the unique features you'll see on the Pearl is that the Sundeck up here also doubles as a flybridge. The first of 4 steering stations is located up here, and that's rare on yachts of this size today. Also, it gives the operator a tremendous view of the bow and the sides for docking.
If you aren't spending your time outside on the Sundeck, another great outdoor option is found down a level.
We mentioned earlier the Sundeck was left relatively untouched, but what we'll see here is that the lounge deck aft has been substantially renovated. They wanted to open the space up. The jacuzzi really was impractical here because there wasn't a lot of outdoor space, so they wanted to give this a nice open feel. They moved the nautical structures crane from one side to the other, put down new teak, and you'll notice that the deck is basically split in half. Inside this area, it's protected by these storm windows, so on cold passages, people can still sit outside but be protected from the weather.
It's inside of this polyurethane enclosure that we find a dynamic space that you won't typically find on a yacht in this size range. There's a large U-shaped dining area and a hardwood tabletop over to port, creating a perfect venue for dinner on the hook. Right next to this is a wall-mounted TV. Directly across from the dinette is a wet bar running along the aft side of the enclosure. Here we find a sink, ice maker, and storage. Immediately forward of this wet bar are stairs that give you access to the Sundeck, and this staircase is next to the entrance into the Sky Lounge. Passing through a large sliding glass door, we next arrive in a private retreat that's ideal for movie night. An L-shaped sofa is on the port side, as well as sound treatment on the walls, replaced during her last refit. From here you can see the TV over in the starboard aft corner. This area also doubles as a secluded reading nook. If you need a place to respond to some emails, there's a built-in desk on the starboard side that's below large windows in the superstructure. Just beyond this, forward, is the entrance into the wheelhouse. At the helm, we have 5 multifunction displays and a Furuno NavNet display. This is where the captain has access to the Nobletech Time Zero navigation software, radar data, and the yacht's camera system. Centerline, we see a pair of CAT engine monitors that read off crucial engine data, as well as a Maritron ship's monitoring system. Other important pieces of equipment include 2 VHF radios, B&G Hydra 2 speed and depth display, and the yacht's autopilot. When the captain needs to step away and get some sleep, they pass from the wheelhouse directly into the captain's quarter.
So as originally planned, the Sky Lounge was the whole deck and it would have been a lot larger, but the owner was very particular of giving her captain a decent sized cabin stateroom. So this room is quite large and takes up half of the space of the Sky Lounge.
Oftentimes the captain's quarter, there's room for 2 to sleep, but not for 2 to live. And here you've got more than enough storage, you've got a double berth here, and private ensuite. Wrapping up in the captain's space, I do want to point out that on both sides of the wheelhouse you have these wing doors. These open up and give you access to a Portuguese bridge.
One of the main benefits of having a Portuguese bridge is that it allows the captain to walk out one side all the way around to the other for good visibility. He also has a clear view of the bow. And secondarily, it's a great place for a guest to stand and watch the yacht while underway.
With a beam of 26 feet, the Pearl has good interior volume as well as side decks that wrap around the bridge deck and the main deck. Connecting with the bow, the teak found on the side decks continues to the ground tackle. There's also a seating arrangement found on the bow with this forward-facing bench seat. As you can likely tell, all of the deck gear on board is commercial grade. That includes everything from the windlasses to the cleats and her twin pocket anchors. Another feature to point out up here is the port side watertight entrance into the crew common area. Upon entering this crew space, we first see a collapsible dinette for 4. And then there's a set of stairs that leads down to a landing where we see the first of 2 laundry centers on board. Rounding the corner brings us to a great storage area as well as the lower crew accommodation. Now that we've shown you the bow and what she looks like underway, we're going to take a look at the mechanical spaces. But before we do, we pass this davit right here.
Yeah, under this hatch on the aft section of the bulwark is a 3,000-pound davit, which was engineered to lift a boat off the back platform.
Accessed from the aft deck, this 118 has a European transom design with chandelier stairs leading down port and starboard. These have teak treads, with teak continuing down onto the swim platform itself. Centerline in the transom is a watertight door providing access into the lazarette, which is where we're headed next. There are some key components in the mechanical spaces, including this Atlas shore power system that sits right next to the yacht's second laundry center. This is a crucial storage space for the yacht and also serves the crew, especially the engineer, with this workshop over on the port side. Immediately forward of the lazarette is this Intermarine's upgraded and well-equipped engine room. Upon entering, we first see the yacht's twin Northern Lights generators, each of which is 50 kilowatts. These are immediately aft of her twin Cat C32 ACERTS, which were added new in 2017. The newest item of note is this completely replaced electrical panel, which was just installed when the yacht's lighting was replaced. Another great feature down here is the sewage treatment plant on the starboard side that gathers all of the black and gray water on board and sterilizes it before it's emptied. There are also two 50-gallon-per-hour Watermakers, providing redundancy for this important system. Each of our Cat C32s have 1,550 horsepower that give this 118 a comfortable cruising speed of 13 knots and a top speed of around 19 knots. When she's at cruise speed, she has about a 3,000 nautical mile range and a remarkable ride thanks to her Naiad stabilizers. Wrapping up with the mechanical details, our next stop is the Aft Deck. Its minimal layout and comfortable, oversized alfresco dining area is the centerpiece here, thanks to the joint benefits of the open air and panoramic view. Also, provided the height of the main deck above the waterline, this area can be used in privacy at anchor or in her slip. Adding to the stout feel mentioned earlier, we also find commercial capstans and deck gear that are outboard of the dinette. Lastly here on the aft deck is a starboard staircase leading up to the bridge deck aft, which we've already taken a look at.
We're stepping into the Salon now, which is one of the areas that benefited substantially from the refit. She was a different color, a brown and tan. All the paneling and colors were changed to gray, and a beautiful hardwood floor was put down.
Aft we have the living area of the salon with seating set over to the port side, below a series of windows in the superstructure. This includes an oversized L-shaped settee and an armchair that form a conversation pit around a coffee table. Forward of the living area is the formal dining space, with a large table that the whole family can gather around as your chef impresses you once again. When it comes to storage for plates and flatware, that can be found on both sides of the table, and there's additional storage running up the entire starboard side of the salon.
Forward of the formal dining on the port side is the commercial galley, which is easily accessed from the dining table, and is also the access to the crew area forward.
Got a ton of great cold storage in here, a lot of stainless countertop space, everything a chef could need to prepare great meals for a full boat.
And all renovated too as part of the refit.
For making your meals, there's a replaced cooktop above an oven. For cleaning up, there's a twin stainless sink basin inboard, and then turning towards the outside, we see a second sink and a long stainless countertop where meals are plated and staged before being delivered. Refrigeration is across from the window in two floor-to-ceiling units with 4 freezer drawers. There's also an additional freezer below the countertop. Leaving the galley and moving on, we next enter the main deck foyer on the starboard side. Looking inboard, we see that there are 3 options for guests on board. You can head up to the Sky Lounge, take the middle staircase down to the lower deck, or you can use the dayhead, which is just forward of the staircases. Also found in this foyer is the side deck access door, which serves as the formal entry for owner and guests. Continuing forward from here, we next are going to take a look at the owner's accommodation. Our first stop in the owner's suite is a separate office with a solid wood desk. This area is even large enough to host meetings in. From here, you step forward into the owner's accommodation that has an aft-facing centerline king berth flanked by windows on both sides of the room. Turning to starboard, we see a long dressing station below the window where you can get ready for the day. Forward of the vanity, the owner has access to a large corridor with an abundance of storage. A lounging area featuring a settee is located on the port side, again benefiting from the natural light coming from the windows above. Finishing off in the master, we arrive at the ensuite equipped with his and hers vanities. Note that on the countertop and underfoot is vibrant blue stonework. There are 2 stalls in here, the first one being a large shower built to the same standards as any luxury hotel. The other stall, just aft, is for the head. Finishing up in here, follow us down below decks as we start wrapping up our time on board. At the foot of this staircase, we arrive in the lower deck companionway. We have access to 6 cabins down here. Aft are our VIPs. Just forward, we have a pair of twin cabins, and then all the way forward through a bulkhead, we have access to those hybrid cabins, sort of for the crew, but really glorified kids cabins with bunks. But first we're going to check out these VIPs, which are the aftmost staterooms. Taking a look first at the portside cabin, we see a mirrored layout making up the most sizable guest accommodations on the lower level. There's a forward-facing walk-around berth thanks to the yacht's beam, and plenty of storage, as well as a desk below the 2 port windows that can be opened up for fresh air. Jumping over to the starboard side, we see the second VIP cabin. In here we find the same amenities as the last cabin, a configuration that your guests will appreciate, especially couples. Nightstands flank the berth, in addition to a hanging locker that's located forward of the desk. Next, we're going to take a look at cabins 4 and 5, which are found a little bit further midship, where we have a pair of twin cabins. This is the port side of yet another set of mirrored cabins. A pair of side-by-side twin berths are separated by a nightstand, and electric blinds can black these cabins out. Directly across the hall from here, we enter the second of the twin cabins. The entertainment center in here is located on the forward bulkhead, and like the other cabins, it has its own designated DirecTV receiver.
The next 2 cabins we'll look at are cabins 6 and 7, which are those hybrid cabins I spoke of that can be used for guest or crew.
First, looking to port, we see that these cabins have bunk configurations and plenty of storage. Across the hall, we see that these forward guest cabins have desks in addition to all the storage. Forward in each cabin is a private ensuite with a shower stall. Thanks so much for joining us on board the Pearl, the 118-foot Intermarine. If you'd like any more information about this boat,
Or you have any questions, you can reach out to me at any time.